Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to An Impact on Your Health. An Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. An Impact on Your Health is heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. An Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Of course, you know this is to be a very unusual and unique show. How about this for uniqueness? About a year ago, we had Dr. Kpndrot come to town and launch a ride, using the Spanish word correo, a ride between Pittsburgh and Washington, D.C. I'd locate Ed Kpndrot and his lovely wife, Lee, on the northern coast of France right now. This year, it's not a ride, it's a walk. As I explained in Spanish, it's called a Caminata, and on the road to Santiago. We're going to be talking about Ed, who's out there in France, not unusual for Ed, out there in France, developing awareness for macular degeneration on the Camino de Santiago, the road to Santiago. We'll let him describe where he is on the road. By the way, the road is 500 miles. He's walking the whole thing. Only Ed would get himself into these little conundrums, and his lovely wife, Lee, will be with us right after our first break. He's going to be talking about the Caminata de Santiago, on the Camino from Santiago, in the northern coast of France, what that road is, why he's taking it, and we're going to talk an awful lot about the awareness of macular degeneration. His baby, of course, are the fine programs that we offer to correct those visual disturbances. And here we go, with a new twist for the Ed Kpndrot approach to spreading the word. We'll be with him right after our first break. Now, look, if in the course of our discussion with Dr. Kpndrot, you want to call in up to ask a question or to make a comment, we'll hook you up. We'll let it happen. The number to do it, as you should know by now, is to call us up at 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. I will give that number additionally throughout the hour. The walk to Santiago, on the road to Santiago through the Via Francaise, the French way. All this and more after our first break today. Now, let's see how the schedule is lining up. We're just about ready to turn the page, folks. Monday, the last day in June. Our guest on Monday is going to be Susie Weiss. She's going to be getting you ready, if you've got a mind to become involved with it, to get you ready to learn more about essential oils. She, after all, is in my office each and every first Thursday of the month. So if you missed the opportunity to be with Susie in the past and you'd like to take her up on her offer, she's going to be in my office here July 2nd. That's a Thursday. No, excuse me, July 3rd at 2 o'clock. If you'd like to become a participant in the free seminar on essential oils, give us a call here at the office at 724-942-3002. We'll reserve a seat for you, and you can become knowledgeable in how the use of essential oils, and in particular the company called Young Living, may be able to help you out medicinally in a very pleasant way. Now, as we do turn the page into the month of July, things are beginning to shape up, folks. Here's the way it stands right now. On the 7th of July, Jimmy Barber, Dr. James Barber, a plastic surgeon from Western Pennsylvania, is going to come on the show. A new program, a new diagnostic test to determine your potential to develop cancers based on familial history and genomic testing is now easily done in the office with a buccal smear, just a swab done on the inside of the cheek, and it's insurance covered to boot. We're going to talk about all the various potential cancers that can be explored through your predisposition to developing them based on genetics. Jimmy Barber will be our guest on the 7th. On the 9th, this one's just freshly inked, folks. This is hot off the press. Dr. Charles Schwengel will be our guest. A lot of talk about cancer in the month of July. He runs a cancer therapy program exclusively out in Miss Arizona in Arizona. After all, the haven of all things alternative is the state of Arizona. Dr. Charles Schwengel, our guest on the 9th. On the 14th, Nicholas Meyer is going to be our guest. He is a top doc. By the way, Dr. Charles Schwengel, one of the top docs also. Remember my pledge to you. Over the course of the summer, we're going to get a hold of all 20 of the top docs, top alternative doctors, and Dr. Charles Schwengel certainly was one of those. Nicholas Meyer, a top doc biological dentist on the 14th, and newly inked, Dr. Lee Cowden, who was with us just a week and a half ago, asked to come back. I was impressed. I'm honored. Dr. Lee Cowden wants to talk about cancer treatment. He had to know. He's going to be our guest on the 23rd. That's the way things are shaping up. Now, do we have a knock on the door? Come on this door. Hello, and welcome aboard very quickly. What's on your mind?
Hello, Dr. Courtney.
Hi.
Hey, I've got a question regarding Dr. Starr you had on.
Dr. Mark Starr, yes.
Yeah, you had him on Monday's show.
Yes.
Okay, I looked up his website, and he has a lot of pages regarding hypothyroidism on his website.
Sure.
At 21centurymed.com.
Yes, he does.
Okay, and on that one page, he has a page on Hashimoto. On that page, he discusses causes, treatments, and recommendations. And he states on there that that's the only treatment for that condition. He does not recommend the desiccated pig thyroid. He recommends the compounded T3, T4 combination.
Okay.
Are you aware of that? Or?
I'm aware of that. He has a really sophisticated viewpoint on the matter. I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to get Mark Starr back and have him talk specifically about Hashimoto's and let him run through why he's only recommending the compounded T3 instead of the desiccated gland, because he uses the desiccated gland in just about every other preparation. I don't think I can really answer the question for Dr. Starr in the way that I'd like him to. And so let's just say that I'll get him back, and we will talk about that particular item with respect to Hashimoto's. Fair enough?
Okay, he says that raises the antibodies. If in the long term it raises the antibodies because of the autoimmune condition.
Well, we're not going to get sifted through that today, my friend, but I promise to bring him back, so we will get that matter cleared up, all right?
Okay.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for the call. Dr. Mark Starr, very much involved with the treatment of thyroid disease. And I will bring him back and let him discuss how he thinks Hashimoto's disease, a condition where antibodies literally attack the thyroid gland, and maybe it's because of this attack that the use of desiccated thyroid, which comes from the live tissue of animals, maybe heightens that particular attack on tissue. And we'll let Dr. Starr answer his question in a way that only he can. I'm not going to try to answer it for him. So, other things going on, by the way, in July, our eye treatment program. We'll talk a bit about that today with Dr. Ed Kpndrot. Just to let you know, we do these 3-day treatment programs once a month. The eye treatment program, the 3-day program in the month of July, will be held on the 21st, the 22nd, and the 23rd of July, right here in the office. If you think you'd like to be a part of it, give us a call here at the office at 724-942-3002. Ask for Sarah. She'll get you directed to having everything turned in and accomplished so that Dr. Kpndrot can actually review the case and get the programmed microcurrent machine up to us by the 21st. So we have it there at the first day of the program. And so once again, that number 724-942-3002. A lot of people out there using that number. You're very interested in the ozone therapies we now offer. I say it's time to jump on the Ozone Express. Many of you are that interested that you're coming on in with various medical issues, some systemic, some localized chronic pain issues. I'm just amazed at how well people are doing. I continue to promise to you that'll bring to you various patients as I'm moving along and plodding along here, as we did 1 week ago. We had our first 2 patients involved in testimonial fashion to talk about their own particular issues for why they sought ozone therapy to help correct their problem when nothing else ever seemed to. And in both cases, we had 2 pretty happy customers there. And I'm finding a lot of happy people. I will promise you to bring as many as I can, and would like to consent to come on board to tell their story as we continue to move down the Ozone Express Highway, this unique therapy initially brought to us by Dr. Frank Schallenberger. I would say, by the way, in the interim, if you've missed the shows, I strongly urge and recommend that you go to my website at djcmd.com. On the opening page, click on the icon marked Archives, which takes you then directly to YouTube, and all of my radio shows are up on the YouTube. I think I said that right. And I'd like you to dial in the search engine, 3 words, Courtney / Schallenberger. This is / now, / ozone, Courtney / Schallenberger / ozone. What will come up will be 3 shows. They'll be labeled Ozone 1, Ozone 2, and Ozone 3. You won't get confused about which one to listen to first. Those are the 3 shows that we did dating back to January of 2014. And it will bring you up to date on the use of ozone therapy, how it's administered from the Godfather himself, Dr. Frank Schallenberger. We are just in the process of arranging for him to come and visit here in Pittsburgh. I'll bring him out at the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy Group. We're shooting for September, and it's about time to get a date from him. As soon as I hear from Sylvia about the date available in September, I promise to ink him and bring him on board over on the radio and get you ready, Pittsburgh, for Dr. Frank Schallenberger's arrival here. He promises to do a special thing for you. I'll talk more about that as time moves on. Okay, we're going to take a short break, folks. In the interim, with the international flair that we can bring to you, we're headed to the northern coast of France, or at least it looks that way on the map to me. The Caminata a Santiago, the road, the walk to Santiago. What is Santiago? Why is he walking there? 500 miles, Ed tells me. That's the distance between Pittsburgh and Boston. Known anybody to walk it lately? We'll find out what Ed's all about and why he's walking it now when we return. Be right back.
Seven 724-9.
All right, I think we got him, so give me a few seconds.
Sure.
Brett, you turned to...
Edward. Ed.
Dr. Courtney.
Oh, yes, you're coming through loud and clear, Ed. Perfect. We're on a commercial break right now. We're not on the air just yet, but we're going to be in another minute or so. We're going to start off with the obvious questions.
I'll maintain good connection.
Okay, you're stationary for a while, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, you took a little breather. Well, all the obvious questions are going to be where we go to first with this una caminata a Santiago. In the Camino de Santiago, I got 1,000 questions. I'll ask them all, and then we'll get to talking about the Macular D and the eye programs a la Dr. Kpndrot. Should take us.
Yeah, because the purpose of the Camino is raise awareness and hope for macular degeneration.
Well, I'm going to let you explain why you're doing what you're doing, Ed, and here we go.
and you're the man in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, here we go. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard here on KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. We're with you today on a Friday version of the show, slightly different. We're always changing some gears around here. But this one, well, whenever this gentleman is involved, we've always learned that changing gears is the modus operandi. You're going to be intrigued to hear what he's doing now. He's always involved in every continent of the world on fostering good eye care in the Kpndrot program. You'll find him now on the northern edge of France, and we're going to find out what he's doing out there. Of course, Dr. Kpndrot, a Pittsburgh boy born and raised, has gone on to bigger, better things, and he's spreading the word about how you can improve your vision when afflicted with some pretty serious eye problems. He's with his lovely wife now, taking a caminata, which is called a walk in Spanish, on a 500-mile journey. We're going to find out why he's doing it right now. We're going to say good morning, Ed, and welcome back to the show. My goodness gracious, Ed, what did you get yourself into now?
Well, it's not good morning here in Spain, and I'm not in northern France. I'm in northern Spain.
Oh, you're in northern Spain. Okay.
About 20 kilometers west of Burgos. And Burgos is noted for being the burial place of El Cid, the famous Moorish knight.
I remember the movie well.
Yeah, and I walked by his burial place, and I got goosebumps. But the reason why I'm here, my wife and I are doing a 500-mile pilgrimage, and this is probably one of the most famous and well-known pilgrimages in the world. And we start in France at Saint Jean Pierre Le Pew.
Le Pew, okay.
It's right at the base of the Pyrenees. And we hiked over the Pyrenees into Spain, which was a very, very tough trip, cold weather, fog. And of course, we're carrying all our gear. And now we're in Spain. In fact, we crossed the 200-mile mark. We've got 200 miles under our belt. We got 300 miles to go. And the reason why I'm doing this pilgrimage, was I became aware of it when I saw the movie The Way, starring Martin Sheen, which the listeners, if they want to become acquainted with this, rent the movie The Way. It's wonderful. And also, there's a book called The Field of Stars, written by Kpndrot. He's a Catholic priest that did the pilgrimage. He explains the mysteries and the magic of this trip. But I'm here to raise awareness and give hope for people out there that have macular degeneration. So the purpose of my pilgrimage is to raise awareness. And you can go to the website and you can contribute. We're taking contributions. All the money goes to a nonprofit foundation, the Arizona Restore Vision Foundation. You can go to healingtheeye.com, that's all one word, .com /Camino. And you can read our daily blog. My wife is writing wonderful tales about our journey and the excitement along this trip.
Now, at the end of the trip, you supposedly arrive at the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela. That must be the town, Compostela. What is the allure of this cathedral? Why did so many people take this walk to this cathedral in the past? Well, it's the
internment of St. James. The two apostles where they've actually identified the bones. St. Peter, who's in the Vatican, and St. James, who's in the Compostela.
Well, there you go.
For thousands of years, since the 8th century, has been making this pilgrimage all over Europe to go to Santiago to visit the Cathedral of St. James, and miracles happen along the way. I mean, it is very, very magical. Every day for me is a miracle. It's hard to believe. I just can't describe the wonderful people that I'm meeting. The pilgrims on this journey are sacred individuals. The towns open up to you. You get free food, free medical care. Everybody, I guess, is living pilgrimage vicariously through your walk. All the local people here in Spain. Truck drivers will honk their horn and, buen camino, buen camino. But to give the listener some idea, it's almost like walking from Pittsburgh to New York City.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I don't know anybody who's ever taken that walk. The ride, and last year, about a year ago, you took a ride from Pittsburgh to Washington, D.C. We thought that was a pretty big feat back then. I think you've outdone yourself this year with the 500-mile walk through the mountains, the Pyrenees Mountains. Those suckers are pretty high, aren't they?
Very high. We've got cold weather, and you get snowstorms. And we were beat up after the first day. Thank goodness I had my microcurrent stimulator with
you and the microcurrent.
Inflammation, inflammation treatment, and the adrenal support, all these treatments that you're aware of because you're actively involved with microcurrent. You know how that works with eye problems. But right now I'm using it on my beat up 64-year-old body.
Look, now, when you take this walk and you say, and it's such a noble gesture to do this in the namesake of an awareness of macular degeneration, as you move through this journey and you come across people and they're asking, what are you doing? Because I'm looking on their website right now. I'm at the Camino component, and I see you and Lee in your full battle regalia. You talk about carrying your equipment. Look, how much is that backpack weigh that's on your back and hers? 30, 40 pounds.
Well, yeah, we like to keep it under 30. Without water, you take some long treks where you have to really tank up with a lot of water. But most of the time, you got about a 4 or 5 mile walk in between tons, and you have water, you have food. One segment, we called it walk around dining, because every 2 to 3 miles we came to a small village, and we got some food.
You ate again.
Cafe con leche, and then some days we have an extremely long walk, which is quite a distance.
The only way that the only person that ever gained weight while walking 500 miles. Look out! Hopefully you're as slender when you arrive in Santiago as you are here now.
Definitely. I'm definitely losing weight.
Are you
losing weight? I mean, we're walking 15 to 20 miles a day, and you just can't consume the calories. So this is going to be. I have a new program. It's called the Kpndrot weight loss program. You do this in Santiago with a full backpack.
I don't see
you. You'll lose weight.
I don't know how you're going to top this one, but let's get a little more down into the weeds with this particular walk that you're taking. As you move across, and you're moving from east going to west across the northern coast of Spain. I see that now. And your people are coming up and say, well, what are you doing here? When you tell them that you're there to raise awareness for macular degeneration, describe their response to you when you've explained that's the reason why you're there. I'm anxious to hear how they respond.
Well, they want to know what I do, and they want to know more about the techniques that I use, because typically, most of the Europeans are just familiar with the conventional treatment, which is, I'm ashamed to say, is no treatment.
Yeah, right.
Most of the macular degeneration patients, there's nothing we can do outside of maybe taking some vitamins, but most medical doctors scoff at that. So it's kind of a synergy here, because the Camino is all about miracles, and I am really excited with my life now, because people that go through the Kpndrot program, they experience a miracle without having to walk the Camino to Santiago. As you know, you've been involved with the program now over a year. We are able to turn people's vision around, improve their vision, improve their life, and give them hope. Now, instead of having disease where nothing can be done, they have no hope, they have despair, they're suffering, there's a way that we can help them. and really change their lives. So it's very, very appropriate for me to be doing the Camino right now. And even though I'm at the other end of the world, I'm still working. Every evening when I come back, I do 2 or 3 consults, telephone consults via Skype, which is around 7 to noon Eastern time. So I'm getting ready for supper. And unfortunately, the evening meal here in Spain, as you know, is usually 8:30 or 9 at night. And late at night.
That's bedtime for you.
At that time, we're ready. Yeah, we're in bed. I mean, we're exhausted.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, how long do you estimate that this trip is going to take? Where are you on this trip in terms of the length of time that you have scheduled for this? Are you on schedule? Things like that. Bring us up to speed on this one.
No, we're on track. The trip is supposed to be completed in 33 days, 1 day for each of the year of the life of Christ. And of course, people joke on the trail, thank God Jesus didn't die at age 20. That would have been a really tough trip. So you're supposed to do it in 33 days, and you need to average about 15 to 20 miles each day. So we're on track. We're scheduled to finish the trip July the 28th, and we're right on schedule. We're 1/3 of the way done. We've completed over 200 miles today. I think it's about 212 miles we've completed. And we've allowed a couple of days just for rest day or injury. I mean, thank goodness we're holding up. But believe it or not, both my wife and I were getting strong. The first couple of days were tough. Now our bodies are used to it. We set the alarm for 5:30 in the morning. We like to hike early because it is extremely hot here in the afternoon. Temperatures are in the high 80s, low 90s, a lot of humidity. And right around 2 or 3 o'clock, it's just impossible to hike. It's just too hot. So usually then we head to the local village. Accommodations are wonderful. They have these places called refugios or auberges, in which pilgrims stay. You get a room for €5 a night. The food is unbelievable. They have oftentimes have pilgrim meals, which for 8 to 10 euros, you get a 3-course meal, a bottle of wine, and I love the Spanish wine. The Spanish wine is delicious. I don't think it has the high alcohol content, so it's more like a grape juice. And my wife is not a wine drinker, but she's enjoying the Spanish wine. So it's very, very economical.
Yeah, it seems.
Place to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Great food.
Well, this is maybe a new thing to us. We haven't heard about this, but through the books you described and the Martin Sheen exposés, you have somehow learned about this, but this appears in this listening to you to be traveled by many. An entire economic system has developed over this caminata, this road to Santiago, because if they have these refugios, that literally means refuge, okay, houses of refuge, that for that reasonable price, and I know that the prices in Europe are not that reasonable, this is very reasonable when compared to other excursions you can get involved with. This is as cheap as it gets, by the way, isn't it?
And you have people from all walks of life. I met a Lutheran minister today. There are teenagers doing it, elderly, people from all over the world, Germany, France, Spain. I met people from California, even from Florida. Met a couple people from Florida. No one so far. Oh, I did meet somebody from Philadelphia. But probably 15,000 people do this every year. And of course, the season, you can do it all year, except it's difficult to cross the Pyrenees in the wintertime. But I wanted to tell you the synchronicity, because 2 years ago, Martin Sheen did a special on the Florida Center. He has a production called In Focus.
And he came down to visit you in Florida, right?
Yeah, and I watched the movie The Way, And in the movie The Way, he stars as an ophthalmologist who finds out his son dies doing the Camino, crossing the Pyrenees. And he's very grief-stricken. He flies to France to identify the body, and then he decides to do the Camino and spread his son's ashes along the entire 500-mile trail. And it's a transformational pilgrimage for him. It changes his life. He overcomes the grief of his son. He meets a lot of interesting people. So it's really a phenomenal movie. And if you want to find out more about the Camino, I would highly recommend watching the movie The Way, and also reading Kpndrot's book called The Field of Stars. He goes into the mysticism about St. James, the miracles along the way. Very, very interesting book. In fact, when I first started to read the book, after the first paragraph, I could not put the book down. I read through the entire book. It's about his journey on the Camino from a metaphysical point of view. Really, really good read.
I'm going to go look that movie up. I don't ever remember this movie. Were you aware of it before Martin Sheen told you about it? Because I'm not. I haven't heard of it.
I think it's about 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But I warn people that if you read the book, Field of Stars, you'll probably end up doing the Camino. There's something magical about that book. And I'm inviting you, Dr. Courtney. Many pilgrims start in Syria, Spain, which is 100 kilometers to Santiago.
Yes, I see it on the map.
Of pilgrims.
Pretty close. It's pretty close in terms of how far you're going to have to travel to even get there. You got a ways to go before you arrive there, but that's 100 miles away from your destination, huh?
We got quite a way. We'll probably be there in 2 to 3 weeks. 2 weeks at least in Syria.
And so you're taking pity on me. You say, hey, look, Dr. Courtney, if you do the Camino, maybe you ought to start only 100 miles from the end, not beginning where we did 500 miles.
No, it's only 100. It's 100 kilometers, which is 60 miles.
Oh, 60 miles. Oh, well, that's just a walk in the park. Oh, come on.
It's like walking to Butler.
Oh, good.
That's all.
That's great. Outstanding. Well, let's do this. I'm going to take a short break, Ed. When I come back, I'm going to let you switch some gears. I want you to put your ophthalmology hat on. I want you to talk about these programs. We got listeners here today. They're either afflicted themselves or they know somebody that is. Could you talk a bit about the diseases that you're most familiar with being able to change the course of events on, that just there is no way for the conventional methods to work in those regards? Could we put the ophthalmology hat on when we return?
Yeah, I'll be happy to.
All right, so folks, we are visiting with Ed and his lovely wife on the Caminata de Santiago, the walk to Santiago, on the Camino to Santiago. And we're going to just take a little bit of a break, come back, and let Dr. Ed become a doctor for a change, and let him tell you about his programs and how wonderfully they do work. So stay tuned, stay with us. We'll be right back in a moment with Ed. All right, we're on break.
Okay, I'm coming through okay?
You're coming through loud and clear. I love the story the way you told it, but I'm going to let you talk about the medical side of this disease and how your program works and how successful your participants end up becoming. I can then chime in because doing these programs...
Hey, did you get the information I told you about the guy that dropped out of your program?
The one? No, I didn't. I got some information on you about when your response to my last conversation I had with you. I'll talk to you about it off air because
I think that's a problem with your sales team. Because when you put a pencil to the cost that guy would have to come down to Florida, he's going to spend more money than if he does the program with you. His airfare, renting a car, accommodations, buying the machine.
Oh well, look, I saw what you wrote down there, but evidently he's still doing it. So we're not that bad on the sales. Let's just say for right now, I'll talk to you whenever we get off air about doing about this matter. I think we really do have to hit it, and I'll let you explain what you did. And but
all right.
we never got that guy. He's going to see you, and God bless him. Well,
you know what? I checked my calendar, and he hasn't signed up. He hasn't paid his deposit. He hasn't signed up yet.
All right, here we go. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. We're here with you on a Friday morning version of the show, slightly different than our regular Get 'em Up out of town version, but boy, are we out of town today. We're on the northern edge of Spain on a walk taken by Dr. Edward Kpndrot and his lovely wife Lee, 500-mile walk from the border with Spain and France all the way to a cathedral at the Santiago de Compostela, I think I read that correctly, which is the burial site of St. James. Who knew? I didn't know. Dr. Ed Kpndrot is our semi-host today, our guest host. Dr. Kpndrot, I asked you if you wouldn't mind spending some time talking about the diseases that you've been able to have quite an impact on with your special programs. It certainly is appropriate, seeing you're on a awareness walk, 500 miles, to develop an awareness about the disorder called macular degeneration. Take this one for a moment, put your ophthalmology hat on, and talk to our listeners.
Well, I guess for the last 15 years, my practice has been transformed to one only using drugs and surgery as to looking at the cause of disease and trying to understand disease and trying to reverse so-called incurable diseases like macular degeneration and glaucoma. Now, I'm not making claims that we cure the disease, but there's no question in my mind that we can take an individual who is suffering from macular degeneration, glaucoma, or cataracts, and begin doing these alternative treatments to definitely improve their vision and restore their vision. And I'm really grateful that you are involved with the program because after some of my national publicity, our phones are ringing off the hook, and I just can't see everyone. And I'm really grateful, Dr. Courtney, that you're actively involved. You are doing my program. In fact, you're getting amazing results. I hate to say this, in some cases you're getting better results. I'm kidding. Simply because you have been practicing integrative and alternative medicine ever since I was a child.
Come on, really?
You have a lot of experience, and that's what it takes. You need to understand the root causes of disease, and it's not that complicated. You have to look at circulation, you have to look at nutrition and diet, you have to look at removing heavy metals, you have to look at ways of getting the body to heal, improving the oxygenation, stimulating the body to heal, looking at the emotional component. And these are all the things that we look at in the Kpndrot program, and you're doing an excellent job. A big modality is the microcurrent stimulation.
Absolutely.
The question is the microcurrent stimulation works miracles. I mean, every night when I come back from my 20-mile walk on the Camino, my body's sore. I run an inflammation program, and I can just feel those aching muscles, the pain just melt away. And I think that if it wasn't for the microcurrent, I may be in one of the local Spanish hospitals right now.
Could you spend a moment of time? I think one of the, it's shocking for those who are considering our program for us to say, because we're used to saying it, you made us feel comfortable with saying that in 3 days, because that's how one of your programs lasts, in 3 days, 85% of the people who take this program are going to be doing a heck of a lot better at the end of 3 days than they were at the beginning. And that 85%, I even question it. I think it's much higher than that. But it's pretty miraculous for them to even think that that's possible, yet it happens with regularity. How can things happen so quickly, Dr. Kpndrot? Because they do happen in 3 days.
Well, it's nothing magical. We just get down to the basics, which most eye doctors totally ignore. We look at nutrition. We give them a nutritional IV that often will quickly replace a vitamin or a mineral deficiency, which can get the body into high gear for healing and regeneration. We also then use microcurrent stimulation, which improves the blood flow. It stimulates cellular activity. And when an eye doctor tells you there's no evidence that microcurrent works, he hasn't read the literature. There's been published studies which show that microcurrent improves cellular activity by 500%. I'm not talking about 10 or 20, I'm talking about 500%. So it's just common sense that'll tell you if you can take a dysfunctional retinal cell and start that cell to start functioning, you are going to get an improvement of your vision. And that's what happens. And then, of course, we add the IV hydrogen peroxide, the ozone therapies, which are very powerful ways of increasing oxygen utilization in the body. It stimulates a myriad of biochemical reactions which begin the healing process. So it's amazing. In 3 days, there's no question, not only do people have an improvement of their vision, they feel better, they're stronger, and most importantly, as you know, we're now giving them hope that this is something that they can manage. This is something that they can continue these therapies on their own at home, continue some of the IVs, continue to remove heavy metals, and people now have hope, and it isn't just false hope. They see the results by reading more lines on the eye chart, by having an expansion of their visual field, being able to function. So I like the three.
Are you there? Did we lose him? Maybe we have. Why don't we do this? We're going to try to reestablish contact. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll have Bill try to reestablish contact with Ed. Maybe he doesn't even, not even aware that we do have a problem for the moment. We'll come back. We'll talk more about the 3-day treatment program and Dr. Ed Kpndrot's personal involvement with every single case that we end up seeing here at our Pittsburgh protocol. Be right back. Take a short break.
We'll help you get rid of those pounds. And
I was afraid of that we might lose him.
Okay, did we lose him?
I guess, because he wasn't responding. I'm going to try to call him again. So.
All right, try to call him before you come back to me, and if not, I'll take it for a while you try. He may not even know that we've lost him.
Yeah, that's the problem, because there's no disconnection sound. It's just that he wasn't there.
All right.
So, hold on.
1063.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition.
There was some operator came on, so...
All right, just, I'll take it.
If I get him, I'll double beep you.
Yeah, double beep me. I had that operator tune herself out.
Okay. Let's try again. All right, we're going to be coming back.
Sure.
02.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Heard here on KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. I'm here with you on a Friday morning version of the show, very unique version of the show, you'd have to agree, talking with Dr. Ed Kpndrot on a pilgrimage between the border of France and Spain on his way to literally the coast of Spain in an east-to-west direction, a 500-mile journey over something called El Camino de Santiago. The road to Santiago, it's called a caminata, a walk in Spanish, and what a walk it is, 20 miles a day, a estimated 33-day journey. We lost contact with Ed. We're trying to reestablish it, and if Bill is able to do so, he's going to get right back to us. I'll know in the moment he does establish that contact so that we can have a little further discussion on these programs that Ed Kpndrot has put together. I wanted to make certain, and by the way, if you have any questions about the programs, now's the time to call in at 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. See if we can get some timely questions answered. If this is something you're being made aware of for the first time, we welcome you as a listener to the show, and certainly been involved with the Kpndrot treatment programs, these 3-day programs now for quite some time. I wanted Ed to mention, and in his absence, I'm going to begin to talk about his continued, actually, I won't have to elaborate on it. We've reestablished contact with Dr. Ed Kpndrot. Ed, are you with us again?
I'm here with you. I'm on the Camino. I didn't fall in a ditch on the trail.
All right. We just lost you, and I'm glad we got reestablished. I was just about to begin, and I'm glad you came in at the right time, because I wanted you to comment a bit about the fact that even though we're running a program here in Pittsburgh, as you have taught us to do it, you are intimately involved with every single individual who's going to be taking that program. Could you elaborate a bit about how you are involved with every case, that your expertise is brought into play in every single instance, and that we talk frequently about the patients who are going through, as I see the questions need to be answered specifically? Elaborate a bit on that to let our listeners know that this is not you at a distance. This is you within an arm's length at all times.
Well, I think it's really important that I do maintain hands-on with every individual patient because I'm the ophthalmologist. It is my program, and it's my responsibility to make certain that every patient gets the best treatment protocol based on my experiences over the years. So what I do is I evaluate the medical records, the eye records, and customize a microcurrent program. And as you mentioned, we're in contact. You and I are in contact. You have my cell number. You call me no matter where I am. And even though I'm in Spain, every evening I come back, which is around noon Eastern Standard Time, and I log onto my computer and I'm programming machines and answering questions that doctors might have. But I think the biggest question that maybe some of the listeners have, how can this possibly work? I mean, my eye doctor told me nothing can be done. I can't restore my vision. And I think you and I, we take an approach that we look at the underlying cause of the problem, which is ignored by many eye doctors. We look at ways of improving their nutrition. We give them a nutritional IV, which sometimes will kind of jumpstart the healing process. We evaluate them for heavy metals, and often heavy metals are a contributing cause of macular degeneration, and often heavy metals can be aggravating existing glaucoma. We also look at therapies to actually stimulate circulation, stimulate cellular activity and regeneration, and these include the microcurrent stimulation, oxidative treatment, light therapies, treatments that have been shown by national studies to do these things. So when your eye doctor tells you that nothing can be done and, you know, there's no studies that show that microcurrent works, they are wrong. They are wrong. There's no question that it works, and the proof is at the end of the 3 days when the patient can see an improvement of their vision, they feel better, and then they have hope to know that they can continue the microcurrent, they can continue some of these IV therapies, to continue their healing process. So it's very exciting, and I'm really grateful that you're involved with the program because you have a lot of expertise that you add to the program, your understanding of disease, being an integrative doctor for many, many years. So your contributions are making the success rate very, very high in the patients that you're seeing.
I wanted you to spend just a moment. We have a unique situation here in Pittsburgh. I think it may be, but we are so unique that it doesn't exist in any other of the program participants, and that is we involve an optometrist, or Dr. Lisa. I know you know Dr. Lisa very well. And for our listeners, I'm sort of interested to ask the question on air. What do you think about that participation? I really enjoy, and I think an unbiased third-party professional adds a bit to the program that I think without her, we'd be behind where we are right now. How do you feel? I've never asked you this directly. How do you feel about Dr. Lisa Bowen's participation in the program?
Well, Lisa, being an eye doctor, is very comfortable with eye disease. And, of course, she doesn't substitute for, my evaluation and recommendations, but she's there to monitor patients, especially the glaucoma patients, to make sure that, their pressures are lowered with the treatment and there's no adverse effect. And she's also there to help advise them, because I think now that she's seeing how well these therapies work, she's actually become an advocate for these treatments, and she's encouraging patients to consider these therapies. So I think if you do need a second opinion regarding your eye problem, I think Dr. Lisa, is a person that you should see, because she kind of wears two hats like me. She knows the traditional eye profession, and now she's being exposed to a whole different world of using these alternative modalities which can restore vision.
Well, she, and as a professional, has some pretty sophisticated testing. I know that the patients enjoy having Lisa on board. It's just a little extra validity, a third party with professional training that makes our patients feel, I believe, a lot better about where they stand at the beginning and where they may travel to within 3 days. It's just that final little confirmation that, my goodness, those changes really did occur. I know Dr. Courtney checked me, but Dr. Lisa confirms exactly what he said. They feel good about that, Ed. I think it's a great addition.
Yeah, and I think Lisa was skeptical at first.
As anybody would be. She knows the conventional approach, which is none, and she understands that there really isn't any conventional treatment out there. She has come a long way to the point now, I believe she's just as anticipatory as we all are on day 3. She's expecting to see the wonderful changes that she has become accustomed to seeing, and we continue to say that, Lisa, this isn't a fluke. You've been doing this now for a year, Lisa, and so she's pretty comfortable about the whole thing and recommends it to many of her patients. Yes. Now, we're in the gun lap here, and so that we can bring this to a conclusion, you have pulled off the road for the day, huh? You're at the end of your journey for this day, at least?
We're at the end of the journey. I'm going to take a nice hot bath, do a microcurrent treatment to kind of help reduce some of the inflammation in my body. I may take a nap. I'll probably get online, answer some emails, and then get ready for dinner. Dinner's going to be probably at 8 o'clock tonight. And then ready for another day. We get up early. We get up at 5:30 and hitting the road again. We got a big day tomorrow. I think we're going to put in 20 miles. But we're well on our way, and I would appreciate if the listeners would go to our blog and sign up. It's Healing the Eye, all one word, Healing the Eye, TheEye.com/Camino, CAMINO. And if they have trouble logging on, they can give our office a call, or they can give your office a call.
Sure, we'll help guide them.
We're writing a blog every day about the interesting people we meet in our adventures, but we're really having a lot of fun. The trip is been transformational for me. It's been an inspiration. I feel better than ever what I'm doing to helping people, and I look forward to coming back to Pittsburgh soon.
Well, I see your last post was on day 11 yesterday. You're probably getting ready to post for day 12. We probably don't need to hear about that because we got the first hand. I'd like to ask you quick, can I, like a week from today, could I just check in with you and see how you've done in the next 7 days, and maybe some interesting story you can impart to us? You know, I followed you on your bike trip. I feel compelled to follow you on this foot path that you're taking. So I plan on getting a hold of you next Friday to do the same thing if the cell coverage allows. What do you think?
That'll be perfect. It's a perfect time. Your radio show's 8 o'clock. Unlike when you used to call me when I was in Arizona, it was 5 o'clock in the morning. It's a little bit more here in Spain. It's 3 o'clock, and I'm awake, but my body is aching and it's exhausted after the 15 miles we did today.
Hey, just one thing. I think I just was reminded of it by you mentioning Arizona, but you one heck of a show out there a few weeks ago with a concept that came out of that mind of yours called the 20 Top Alternative Doctors of America. We are taking the entire summer, Ed. I'm taking every one of the speakers, every one of the top docs, and I'm bringing them on the show. Pittsburgh is enthralled with their messages. These are powerful people with powerful messages, and you brought that all together. Any postscript on the concept, how well that went from your perspective? Because we haven't had a chance to talk about it on air or even off.
Well, it was. I think it was a success because we brought together 20 amazing innovative and alternative doctors, and of course, you being one of them, which you contribute tremendously to the program. And next year, we're going to be taking the event to Puerto Rico. And I hope you can join the event in Puerto Rico.
Wouldn't miss it, Ed.
April of next year.
All right, we got bongos in the background, signaling our time out of here. Ed, have an enjoyable evening. Get that bottle of wine in your belt. 1 bottle per evening is absolutely mandatory. We'll get a hold of you next week. Enjoy your week. Safety, my friend. Talk to you then.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Courtney.
Okay, there you have it, folks. La caminata de Santiago, the walk on Santiago. Look, we'll see you on Monday. Don't forget, it's going to be Susie Weiss with us on Monday, talking about essential oils. Until then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney saying so long for AM Impact on Your Health.